What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all, Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house.
And we have done a ton of content lately on the foods you need to eat, super nutritious foods, the best food groups, so many good things, but we haven't spoken much about foods you should avoid. And oftentimes, me, myself, and Kyle, we like to say it's not what you do, it's what you don't do. So these are 6 food groups that you want to avoid in your diet. And by doing so, will actually help you maintain a better physique. So what is number 1, Kyle?
Number 1 is just simply highly processed junk foods. So what I really want to stress is these are things that for most people, they'll do better off without them. It's offering very little value aside from maybe satisfying for a few minutes or a few seconds, or even maybe just like one bite and whatnot. And it's just offering just like no nutrients. It's not filling you up. And unfortunately, when it comes down to it, and you'll see the list of everything here that we're talking about today, what happens is it opens a floodgate. So simply put, and I'm sure every person here has just done this, where you start with one little thing, you say, I'm just gonna have a small snack, and it leads to binging for some people. It leads to never being satisfied. It leads to grabbing that next thing. And when you go into the grocery store, even as an example, let's say you walk down this whole junk food aisle. I try to stay away from it because it's powerful. People are in there, the companies that are in there, they spend millions of dollars on their packaging, on their, their text, on everything that's associated with it. They try to grab your attention to take as much as you can, put in your cart, bring it home, and you're gonna want more of it. So some examples would just be anything chip related, just any of those snacks, Fruit Gushers, Dunkaroos, those are things I used to have growing up. So some people may hate me for some of this stuff, but the goal is to be honest with you guys, right? There's some things you can incorporate, but it shouldn't be within your diet consistently. You should know that it doesn't offer any value. Candy's another thing as well. So these things are just loaded with like a ton of sugar, a ton of unhealthy fats like trans fats, artificial additives, and a lot of the times when done consistently and like overdone, it can lead to obesity, heart disease, diabetes. And like I said, the big thing is that the floodgate gets open. So for some people who really struggle, they may be doing really well with their nutrition. And then the second they say, hey, I'm just gonna start incorporating this stuff, they may have a ton of it. And everyone's different. Like there's some people who can say, hey, I'll have 150 calories and I'm gonna stick to that and that's it. And then there's some who just end up going completely overboard. So I would say for the most part, try to stay away from it. Don't make it a consistent routine. You can incorporate a bit here and there. Like I'm not saying never have anything here, but you're definitely better off having healthy whole foods for the most part.
Yeah, Kyle nailed it. And it's not to say we never eat these things. So if you know us, we believe in no food restrictions. So in our coaching program, you can eat whatever you want. If you want to have some chips, if you want to have pizza, if you want to go out to dinner, that is totally up to you. But we really recommend the 80-20 rule at a minimum. So that's where we're having 80% whole, hearty, healthy food. And if you have to say what's healthy, we know what's healthy. It's not junk. It's food that's going to build us forward. It's nutritious. It's dense. It's healthy. It's healthy food. And then 20% will be reserved for more fun things, and especially these highly palatable foods. So once again, even with Super Bowl coming up this Sunday, which is exciting, there's a great chance you're looking forward to some of those traditions that come alongside that. Maybe hot dogs, pizzas, chips, these different types of things. And what you'll find with these foods, being that they're hyper palatable, is it's very hard to cut yourself off. So I really avoid chips unless I portion it out because I can't stop. I'll just keep shoveling them. It feels good. And that's their job. That's what Lay's does all day. It's like, how can I make this chip taste as good as possible? How can I make it crunch in my mouth, dilute as nicely as possible? And it's a hard battle to win. And that's why I avoid these things being a staple. And on top of that, because they're highly palatable and they're also not as nutritious, they're not going to satiate me, meaning they're going to leave me feeling less full. So if I eat 500 calories worth of chips, I'm actually going to feel way less full. I'm going to be hungry again than if I have a salad, just tons and filled with vegetables, maybe some oil and a ton of lean chicken. That is going to have me stuffed. It's fibrous. It's going to help me maintain more protein, more water, and it's going to leave me feeling more full, and I'm actually going to be full longer. Whereas with the chips, that's not going to make me feel great. I'm going to burn that faster, and there's more negatives around that. And that's why I recommend reserving these as a treat in the day and moving away from the highly processed foods and aiming to say, how can 80% of my food at a minimum be really whole, hearty, healthy foods that are indeed going to push me forward? But for number 2, I have alcohol. So alcohol is actually interesting because when you think of macronutrients, macronutrients, there's the three big ones. There's protein, fats, and carbs. So protein and carbs are 4 calories per gram. Fat is 9 calories per gram. And alcohol is an interesting one because it does have a caloric amount. So per gram of alcohol, you're actually getting 7 calories from it. But what's interesting with alcohol is it's actually an anti-nutrient. So because it's a poison, your body needs to filter it out. It's actually going to remove nutrients from your body. So food is nutrition. It supplies actual nutrition and energy and different micronutrients from the food, whereas alcohol is taking this away. So it's like a double negative. And what makes alcohol especially dangerous is that it gets mixed oftentimes with sugar, which also isn't going to satiate you. It's going to burn through quick, and it's going to cause you wanting more. We've all been there, and we have sugar, you want more. So when you think of beer, mixed drinks, this is where it gets a little bit dangerous, and it's very easily to consume 300-500 calories of alcohol from only a few drinks. And if you make a habit of doing this often, not only are you hurting your progress by way of potential hangovers, by losing nutrients, by maybe staying up or having your sleep compromised, if you overdo alcohol, it can lead to serious problems like high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, liver disease, and digestive problems. So if you want to enjoy a drink or a couple drinks, that's up to you, but I really recommend trying to minimize that. And no one's going to tell you that drinking is going to help your physique, your progress, your nutrition in any way. So that is something you want to be mindful of, but I do understand that it can be a very social component for some people. But I find it's really important you analyze this, because if you make a habit of every day you finish work, you have a glass of wine, it's going to be hard to undo that habit. And you're actually going to be ingesting poison each and every day, removing nutrients, capping your progress. So I find really reserving it, really trying to bring down the amount you have, tracking the amount you have, and really just creating balance there is going to do so much more for you.
I know so many people who their lives will be completely changed if they just cut it out. And what a lot of people don't realize is it's a keystone habit, right? So by some people incorporating something like that, it could lead to worse sleep. It could lead to just worse decisions. Your food intake ends up being worse. Like, a keystone habit is something that when you do it, a lot of other things get affected. You could be, just maybe, let's say, not as a happy person. Like, you may get into fights with people more. Like, there's just it's one of those things that it just doesn't really offer as much value. So it's something to consider. Like Josh said, incorporate it the way that you see fit. But I will say, like, I know so many people who just be like, they're in such a better spot from fully cutting it out. But that brings me to number 3, which is just simply refined carbs. So this would be stuff like in the pastry aisle. Like, you guys know when you go into the bakery aisle, like, there's a lot of, good looking stuff in there. Any of the baked goods, the croissants, the muffins, like all that other stuff, even like white bread, white pasta and whatnot. Like, these are things where they're kind of stripped of their fiber and their nutrients, and they're definitely a little bit more addicting. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because, like, even let's just use croissants, muffins, all that stuff as an example. Usually that'd be like a breakfast food, and I try to keep my breakfast food very consistent, whether it's like oatmeal with protein, or I have Greek yogurt every single day for the most part. Sometimes I've actually been alternating with oatmeal and protein and berries and all that stuff. For me, that's a great breakfast. I have 400 to 500 calories worth. I'm very satisfied after. I've got just amazing stuff done right at the start of the day. Anytime I've ever switched it up and gone to like a baked good or like done any of that stuff, it just leads to being quite hungry afterwards. It leads to worse decisions afterwards. And so, like I said, not all of these things are like, hey, there's a direct like negative to it, but it's a lot of what happens afterwards based off of the habit that's created and based off of how you're feeling afterwards. And even when it comes down to it, a lot of these things also, will spike your blood sugar, insulin levels, and then just, if consumed consistently, it'll just lead to potential, heart disease, all that stuff over time. Once again, if you have it, it's not going to do anything like that. But these are the things that people get addicted from because they taste so good, because you want more of it. You start with that one 450 calorie muffin with no protein and tons of sugar, then you want that next thing here, and it just continuously goes down a rabbit hole, which doesn't lead to great decisions. So that's going to be number 3.
Yeah, and just once again to remind you, you're not out of shape because you've had pasta or you've had too many carbs. Like, no food should be demonized and is the problem. Like, once again, there's foods that are way better for you. There are foods that aren't good for you. Like even things that are fried, that have trans fat, that are in fact horrible for you. It's not to say you can never have them, but especially from an aesthetic standpoint, like how you look, a lot of that comes down to, are you actually at a calorie deficit or surplus? And most often it's because you're eating in a surplus. And a lot of foods, you'll notice, make it easier to do that. That's why, like, once again, you can have a lot of calories and not have much satiety. It's easier to have a lot lot of pasta. That's something that's a lot more dense than it is, like I said, to have a huge salad. So this is something you need to be mindful of. And that's why in our coaching program, we have no restrictions whatsoever. We show you how to be able to go out and have a nice pasta, or still engage your favorite foods, or even better yet, find healthier alternatives where you can still have them commonly. I love making like mini pizzas at home. You can do protein pastas. You can do all these really cool little workarounds where you can just have your favorite foods guilt-free and really learn how to make it work. Also learn how to not only have foods that help you lose fat and gain muscle, but that also help you become more just nutrition filled and to get the benefits that can come from really healthy eating. There's that quote, let the food be thy medicine and thy medicine be their food. And once again, a lot of this is habitual and just understanding and reworking perhaps some bad habits you've had previously. And if you want me and Kyle to fix those for you one-on-one and to give you the accountability and support you need to actually see that improve, check out our coaching, no pressure at all. First link above is actually going to take you to our website, showcase a little about what we're all about, why we have over 4,500 transformations, and just know our coaching is fully guaranteed. So click that link, check that out, fill it out if you're looking to see serious change, because we're here to help you. But number 4 is sugary drinks. So this is one, when someone's overweight, the easiest thing I'll say, and like if someone says they want to make a nutrition change, I'm like, just avoid it. Get rid of the sugary pop, get rid of the super sugary 500 calorie Starbucks drink, get rid of orange juice. These things are fun. I know they're fun. They taste good for a reason. You can chug on them for a reason. There's a reason I don't give them to my toddler, because it's like he has his eyes blow up. It's just so easy to drink them. So I try to avoid that for him. And like just utilizing water, hydrating with what we need is just so much better. And once again, if you want to have orange juice as your thing and that 20%, power to you, do it. It's just very easy to consume a lot of calories. You're just going to be getting a ton of sugar. And once again, people love to say they're out of shape because of sugar. That's not the case. Sugar has a function in our body. There's a reason, obviously, you need more sugar and glycogen in your system. It's a great source of it. If you're like a hyper athlete, there's a reason like marathon runners will have sugar packs, or NFL players. But for most of us, we don't need to be having 100, 200 grams of sugar each and every day for no reason. So that can obviously lead to its own negatives like diabetes, tooth decay. But for most people, sugar within reason is totally okay. I just think the bigger threat here is the empty calories, because if I go to Starbucks and I get a frappe, mocha, whatever the heck it is, that can be 500 calories. Then I have some orange juice at home. I have a big glass of that. It's another 200 calories. Then I go have a Coke. That's another 150 calories. I'm at like 850 calories from 3 drinks. Like, it's just such a waste of calories. And for a lot of people, they're eating 2,000 calories a day, give or take, right? So you're just honestly filling your day with excess calories for no reason, and you're taking it away from food. So like, just swap a lot of these out for water. And when you break these habits, you won't really look back. I find it such a waste of calories is my problem. That's why I personally have no intention really to have quote unquote sugary drinks.
Even if I'm in like a big surplus and I'm trying to get more calories in and eat more, like I just don't care for any of this stuff and I stay away from it. And the thing I want to stress on this topic as well is like, habit-based, right? As I've been talking about, what happens after we consume things. So for the person who grabs the 11 o'clock frappe, latte, whatever, 600 calories or so, some people are like, there's no way it is. Yes, it is. Anyways, what's gonna happen for them when it comes to lunchtime in the afternoon? It could be Pop-Tarts, it's more than likely it's not gonna be a healthy broccoli, chicken, and rice bowl, because you've opened that floodgate, because you've already got that like satisfaction of like whatever takes place when you have that thing. You're not going to be wanting that next thing that's actually going to be really good for you. Trust me, I've been there. I've opened that floodgate before, and I'm not different than anyone else. Like, I just know that a lot of times when people have these things, it just makes them make worse decisions afterwards. I can promise you that's why we're such a big fan of a high protein breakfast to start off the day and build some great momentum. But number 5 is just fast food in general. So don't hate me for this. Most fast food is going to be garbage. A lot of the fast food out there, I'm thinking the KFCs, I'm thinking the McDonald's. I'm not gonna say Wendy's because there's some good options there. I've actually got a list of things that we should stay away from, but like I said, a lot of it is just gonna be heavily fried. A lot of it is just gonna be, like you've seen those studies of McDonald's. I'm just gonna pick on them for an example of like what happens with their fries, for example. I think it was like 30 days. There was like some documentary or some video made on it. It's just like complete garbage. So there are a lot of good options out there, and this is where so many people struggle. Like, I can comfortably eat fast food every day and pick the right options and go to our local burrito spot and go to our local, it's like a healthy bowl place, and just eat such great stuff that's like sometimes even better than the stuff you can get at home. It's a matter of choosing the right stuff. And most people, when their willpower is drained, when they're out with coworkers, when they're just making that decision, they don't want to choose that healthier option. Like if you go into the fast food court and there's like a really healthy bowl spot, and then there's like every other spot, New York fries, and then just like, you know, donut spots and everything else, you're not going to choose that healthy food spot. But for those of you who still want to be able to eat your favorite foods and still see great results and make great decisions, we actually put together a fast food survival guide. So this is going to give you 12 to 15 different tips when you go to a restaurant. It's going to help you, make better Chipotle bowls and make better decisions when you're at potentially Wendy's or you're just on the go, or even at McDonald's. I can give you some different tips. So if you want that, just message me fast food guide on Instagram at ColossusFit, ColossusUSFIT. You can get that completely free and be able to make the right decisions, but that's going to be number 5 for today.
Yeah, most of the time it just breaks down to bad decisions, right? You go to McDonald's, you get a large Coke, as I said, you're getting 200-300 calories on top of it. Like, there's still more intelligent ways to order at a place. And obviously you can slide that gauge based on the calories you need and what your day looks like in general. But we actually eat out a lot, but that's because we can do it responsibly. It's something we've done for a while, and we can identify some more intelligent decisions. And just most generally, the more you cook at home, though, you're going to opt to better, healthier foods, so long as you avoid number 6, which are frozen and instant meals. So it's real easy just to buy those little lean cuisine things, or frozen pizzas, or Eggos, hot dogs, pizza, anything that's heavily processed. You're going to be losing a lot of nutritional value, and you're going to be getting really low grade, just nutritional food in general. So I'm of the belief, like, one of the best investments you can make is into your body. And like, if you think of your body as like the best, nicest Ferrari, you don't want to go putting some gross old gas in there and just throwing whatever you can out of random jerry cans you find. You want to get like premium fuel. Or if you think yourself as a jet engine, you're like, you need jet fuel. So to me, it's like, why not give your body the best? And I understand this can be more expensive, but you can work around this by bulk prepping, being like more intelligent with how you do it. And a lot of time, these foods, even though they seem cheap, they're going to cost you down the line with potential health issues, gaining weight, just a lot of negatives that come alongside that. So instead, I would really lean towards like understanding how to prep bigger, healthier meals and just avoiding these whenever possible, because I just find oftentimes the convenience is a trap, right? Like, it's just so easy to make, it stores forever, but that's going to cost you down the line. So just by working around these and finding balance, you'll be in a much better place. But in general, these will be really high in just a lot of things you want to avoid. So it's something I personally don't partake in. I mean, if you want to have a frozen pizza every blue moon and just have that as a fun dinner and you can fit it in 80-20, power to you. Once again, these are more guidelines. So it's not to say never have any of these things, but it's to try to challenge your thinking as to why what you're eating, and to make your day-to-day staples better, because it's not you eating a healthy meal once, it's you eating net better over time. And that will cause you to have a better and better physique and to progress more and more on your journey. And the more you can make decisions like this, if we use the sugary drink example, if you're having 500 calories of sugary drinks a day, you cut that out. That's going to put you in a respectable deficit. The numbers don't work out perfectly, but that could be about a pound loss a week just from you having that little deficit, just from avoiding sugary drinks, eating the food you like to eat. So once again, we want to get you thinking here. That's what we're all for. Once again, if you want to work with us one-on-one, that is the first link. If you want that free guide, just message us a fast food guide to our Instagram at ColossusFit. We'll be happy to supply that to you. But we want to thank you for tuning in today. This was a really fun episode. Any other questions, just let us know. Hit us up on Instagram. We're always active in the DMs. But have a fantastic day. Peace out.